Dolphins versus Jets, Week 18. This is it. You started the season 8-3, and all of a sudden you lose 5 games in a row. 8-8 now, and on the verge of a historic collapse going into the final week of the season. Now it's a must-win game. These past 5 games were definitely disappointments, but they were never must-win games with the season on the line. Here we are in the final week of the season, and we're down to our third-string quarterback. So, getting into this injury report, Tua already ruled out. Even if we win this game and make the playoffs, it's already confirmed that we're going against the Bills if we do make the playoffs. So, maybe he'll play against them. We'll see what happens. But like I said, he's already ruled out for this game. 3 players doubtful. Teron Armstead with a toe, pec, knee, and hip injury. So I do not blame him for not playing this game. But it's definitely going to be tough playing without him against that Jets D-line. Kendall Lamb, his backup, already out too. And Cedric Wilson, he's out also. So maybe we see some Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle action in that punt returning spot. We'll see what happens, though. It's up to Danny Crossman, the special teams coordinator. 5 players questionable: Teddy Bridgewater, Bradley Chubb, Xavier Howard, Alec Ingold, and Eric Rowe. I do expect to see most of those guys out there. I better see Bradley Chubb and Xavier Howard on that field tomorrow morning or during the warm-ups. Teddy Bridgewater, Ian Rappaport said that he's probably going to play. Hopefully he doesn't play, but he's looking like he will be active. Same with Alec Ingold, but we better see most of those guys on the field tomorrow. In other news, Eric Fisher on the IR. That's the most Miami Dolphins I've ever seen before. Hasn't played a snap for the team, and he's already on the season-ending IR. I don't even get how that's going to work. But also in that news, Mike Lennon was now activated to the active roster, so he's going to play. Hopefully he doesn't play, but he will be active for tomorrow if necessary, which hopefully we do not see him on that field other than in warm-ups. But for the Jets, they have 2 secondary players out, Brandon Nichols and LaMarcus Joyner, but this is the main one here. 3 starting offensive linemen, Dwayne Brown, Nate Herbig, and George Fance. CJ Uzama and Jordan Whitehead both questionable. We'll see what happens with them. Mike White's listed as questionable, but he is out for this game. Joe Flacco will start, so that is the big news. But yeah, Joe Flacco versus Skylar Thompson, Week 18 with the season on the line. The Jets lost versus the Seahawks last week, as I said in that in the review video versus the Patriots, which makes last week's loss a lot worse. The Dolphins would have won if they were able to just close out that game, but unfortunately, they weren't able to do so. Offense had many chances. Once again, Teddy Bridgewater got hurt. Skylar Thompson had to come in, and he is clearly not ready. Skylar Thompson, nobody thought that we would be seeing so much of him this season. We saw him basically the whole Jets game. We saw him the first half of the Vikings game. We saw him last game too. There's been so many. You should not be able to see your third-string rookie quarterback in so many appearances this season, which really sucks. Now he's starting in the game that determines whether the Dolphins make the playoffs and either lose 6 games in a row or at least get smacked in the first round of the playoffs by Buffalo. We'll see what happens, though. I'd probably prefer the second one. But either way, obviously, we're going against Buffalo if we make it, no matter what, in the first round of the playoffs. So chances aren't very high in that case. The Dolphins did make it close. Buffalo only won on a game-winning field goal when we went up there, even in the cold weather. Tua played lights out. So did Tyreek and Waddle. Each had a touchdown. Tua played really well in that game, but the Bills would definitely... the Bills are on a mission this season, especially after the whole Damar Hamlin situation, which, by the way, great to see that he's finally recovering really well. Like I said in the Patriots review video, I was probably going to make some more videos on that game later in the week, but after that Monday night game, there was just nothing to talk about other than that situation, and I couldn't even talk about that. So I had to wait for this preview to even record, but we're here. And the Patriots and Bills, I wanted to talk about that game too. That game also determines whether we get in. The Dolphins can blow the Jets out by 40, but if the Patriots beat the Bills on any circumstances, they get into the playoffs. But I do think that the Bills will win. The Chiefs already clinched the 1 seed in the AFC with a win today over the Raiders. But the Bills do have a shot to keep the 2 seed. And If they do play the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game, then they will have a neutral site game. So the Bills do still have a lot to play for, and I think that for Damar Hamlin, they will, go. They won't rest any starters. They will try as hard as they will against the Patriots tomorrow, which is great for us because, like I said, we need the Bills to beat the Patriots. So I know that McDaniel said in his press conference that they're not going to be a scorekeeper and, always checking in on the score. But I'm sure he's just saying that he's obviously going to have an eye on that score because if the Patriots are for some reason up by 50, there's no reason to keep our starters in the game. But either way, obviously, you're going to try to win no matter what to not end the season under 500 and on a 6-game losing streak. But we're going to flip the paper as it is time for our 5 things the Dolphins need to do to win this game. Number 1, not in any order, but probably most importantly on this list, get to Joe Flacco. Like I said before, 3 starting offensive linemen out. That is very key in this game. And Joe Flacco isn't a Mike White. He isn't Zach Wilson. He may be better than both of them, but he's not. He doesn't play like them. He's not able to get out of the pocket. He's not even a great pocket presence quarterback. And he can't extend the plays with his legs. We know the Dolphins are garbage against quarterbacks like that. We saw that against Lamar. We saw that against Justin Fields. Even Kenny Pickett at some points. Joe Flacco cannot do that. Even Aaron Rodgers, I wasn't even worried about it that much against Aaron Rodgers, but even he was on the ground, getting some plays on the ground too. But Joe Flacco is not a guy you should really worry about that. Get to Flacco, Sealer, Wilkins, Phillips, Chubb if he plays. If not, Van Ginkel in there, Melvin Ingram. Get to Flacco. If we don't sack him at least 4 times tomorrow, that is a disappointing performance. You need to get to Joe Flacco multiple times, even creating just pressure. You don't have to get a sack every time. Even just getting pressure on him is always most likely going to force an incompletion or an interception here and there. We'll see what happens with that, though. Number 2, give Skylar time. We saw him have 1 start already this season, which is not what your rookie third-string quarterback should be having in his first NFL season. His 2 starts, especially one that determines whether his team gets into the playoffs. But versus the Vikings, he played well. He was playing well until he got injured in that mid-second quarter when Teddy had to come in. Teddy did play well before Waddle fumbled late in the game, but that's for another video, or at least one that I already made. But you got to give Skylar time, especially against this Jets defense. The Jets defense is the only thing that was actually keeping them in the playoff race. Their offense had a bit of a spark with Mike White, but they really weren't much special, especially when Breece Hall went out earlier in the season. But still, Quinton Williams, John Franklin Myers, they have some really nice guys on their D-line that you are going to have to take care of. And especially with Teron Armstead out, it's going to be an issue. If I had to make a prediction on what the starting offensive line would be, left tackle, Greg Little, left guard, you better have Robert Jones back in there. Liam Eichenberg came back for his comeback, his debut, and he was awful. I think 7 pressures total by him. You got to have him on the bench. You got to have Robert Jones back in there. Obviously, Connor Williams and Robert Hunt and Brandon Shell on that right side. But Greg Little and Robert Jones. Robert Jones is great, but he's definitely better than Eichenberg. You got to make sure that left side, Skylar Thompson's blind side, you got to make sure that he's doing good on that side so he doesn't get injured. We don't see Mike Glennon or Teddy Bridgewater with only 4 fingers on his throwing hands. But number 3, run the ball. Raheem Mostert ran for like 120 yards in their first game versus the Jets in Week 5. That was the only bright spot in that game when the Dolphins got blown out. So you got to keep running this ball. Don't abandon the run. The Dolphins ran the ball enough last weekend, but when Skylar Thompson came into the game, 3 straight pass plays. And it ended up being a 3-and-out. Just run this ball on first down. I don't care what the circumstances are. Run the ball always on first down. And 3rd and short, please run the ball, especially on 4th and short also, because you're probably going to have to go for it multiple times tomorrow. Number 4, home field defense. The Dolphins let up 16 straight points in the game against the Packers, and I know that it wasn't really their fault. Sure, you're going to let up points to Aaron Rodgers. Tua definitely obviously lost us that game, and I know that he had a concussion and stuff, but it was still the offensive's fault. The defense did play well, but you're going to have to play well, especially against Joe Flacco and against this Jets offense, which has been struggling all season long. So let's get the home field defense. The fans have got to be hyped tomorrow. I know I'm going to be there. Need a win. Obviously, need a win at this point. Number 5, make the playoffs. Make the playoffs. That's all I'm asking for. That's all I'm asking for. Let's start. We're only 7 days into the new year. Tomorrow will be the 8th. Let's please get into the playoffs to start everybody's year off great. We're going to get smacked in the playoffs. I know we're playing the Bills. We're going to get smacked in the playoffs, even in the first round. Let's not let's not end the season on a 6-game losing streak, please. That's all I'm asking for. The prediction of the game, 20-17 Dolphins. I know that definitely if we lose this game, a lot of jobs are being lost the Monday after the season ends. Hopefully not McDaniel, though. We'll see what happens with that. 20-17 is the score prediction. I will be back probably right in this spot Sunday evening with the recap. Hopefully we're here smiling because we're in the playoffs. And if I'm not smiling, it's because Mike McDaniel is probably about to lose his job. We'll see what happens, though. That'll wrap up. Hope you guys enjoyed. Have a great day. Peace.